gentlemen, the topic of blasphemy is not a simply academic issue. It is the most important issue of human history of civilization today, because it represents a clash between more than 1 billion people with the remaining 6 billion people. Most of us in the modern world in Pakistan or in the Muslim world are not aware of the depth of the issue. And when my friend was talking about Arab Spring, or many people in America or elsewhere talk about Arab Spring, they overlook the issue that is at the root, at the bottom. And because of our great optimism in the future of mankind, we have the inclination to optimistically look at things. But the scientific attitudes which created our modern world demand that we look at things more critically and resolve issues the way they need to be resolved. The question of blasphemy law in Pakistan, or the blasphemy issues as they are agitated in the Muslim world, are not limited to a particular jurisprudence or juridical base. They are not only the question of a law, they are the question of an attitude and a conviction and a commitment of a whole people who have never understood how their attitude towards blasphemy or the questions of religion clash with the will of the other people, and how they will come into contradiction with the world. So for them, it is not a question of a law, because laws have to be implemented by a government or by a state or by a system. And they are no more a law when they are in the hands of the individual at will. In the Muslim world, blasphemy is not a law, because it is not to be implemented by an organization which represents people, but it is free for all. And I will go into this aspect of the issue a little, so that before I can come to other issues, because this individual empowerment is the main reason why it is becoming so complex. If it were the state or a government which would implement a law, then there could be different, the results could have been different. It is not the government or the authorized or the representative body that implements this as a law. It is a crowd or an individual's will and choice to act according to their own inclination or understanding of what is blasphemy, and then they can act. And such is the milieu and the total mental makeup of a whole civilization, that nobody has any retaliation against that individual's act of terror. In Islam, as we know it today, that maybe we do not have any need to go into what is actual Islam and what is reformable Islam. That is a separate discussion. But as it goes with the mind of the Muslim people, this empowers every Muslim to kill a man if he believes that he is insulting his prophet. And this sanction is not arbitrarily taken by the individual. Then that becomes crime. If the individual takes it by his own choice, the society does not approve of it, then it becomes crime. But when the society approves of it, it is not crime, it is the mandate of the society. Therefore, when you look at the scene in Pakistan that hundreds of people are killed by a Taliban blast, by a suicide bomber, or if the rebels, so-called rebels, they go and attack a base, you will not see any retaliation among people. You will see a retaliation against an invasion of Iraq in United States of America and in the whole, in Europe, Australia and everywhere where the people live with some concept of peace. But you will not see any retaliation in Pakistan or the Arab world against an act of terror against their own people if it is done in the name of Islam. That is the difference. So it is the blasphemy law is the product of that mentality. It is not the law that creates the mentality. It is the commitment of the people to their religious belief that empowered their clergy to pressurize their states to create the laws that will then empower the clergy and then the common, the individual to act as they wish in the name of religion. How does it happen? That is my question. And that is what I have been trying to bring to the attention of my own people and everywhere where I go. The Muslim civilization, as most of us know, has been the dominant, the ruling civilization during the last 1400 years. And this supremacy of the Muslims in the world history came to an end when the industrial revolutions created modern nations of the world. That is known to all of us. It was only 200 to 300 years ago that the Muslims finally lost their world empire. Now that is a trauma that they have never been able to overcome. Why that concept of being the rulers of the world lingers with the Muslims is because no education has taken place. No training of the Muslim mind was ever done to make them see that civilizations rise and then they have a fall, and that newer systems of life overtake the older ones. They do not understand this. Number one, their religion teaches Muslims, and I am a Muslim by birth. It teaches us that your religion is final and final for all times. What is given in your religion is the final truth, and it is final not for a day or a century, but it is final for all times to come. And it's a perfect system which does not need any improvement. This was because the empire builders of Islam needed this to cement their rule. That is pretty simple. Every ruler, every ruling class, every ruling elite have their own way of cementing their rule, and the Arabs and later on the other rulers of Muslim history were cementing their power with the help of this slogan that we have a system and a belief which is final truth and it will remain final truth and we have the right to rule. This aspect of their faith, which was kind of evidenced and proved by their success as a ruling civilization, became more and more part of the belief of Muslims, that they have a system of life, they have a thinking, they have a truth which is final and which does not need any improvement and change. When the modern civilizations colonized the Muslim world, they were, of course, they were thrown out of power, and the final Muslim empire, which was led by the Turks of Turkey, went out of power in the Second World War, in the First World War, end of the First World War. And Kemal Atatürk overtook the caliphate, and the caliphate came to an end. But it is history that as the caliphate was going down in Turkey, they were creating a new caliphate in Saudi Arabia. And here comes the wrong role of colonial powers. We have to share responsibilities. The Muslims and those who created the Muslim psychology as present psyche are equally to blame on certain issues. They created the Saudi Empire in 1780s and gradually built it into a substitute caliphate. The concept of caliphate among Muslims is the caliph or the central ruler is the successor to their prophet. That is, he inherits all the powers of the prophet except revelation. But he does not need revelation because revelation is complete in the book and in the tradition of the ancestors. Now his job is to rule the world with the help of Muslims. And the authority will be in the law, that is the book, but he represents the prophet so far as the worldly rule is concerned. So he rules without any rival. And there is no election or any term of office. He is a virtual king who goes on to rule till he is dead or then his son takes over. This caliphate came to an end and Saudi Arabia was created. This development has kept a political Islam which existed earlier, but it was defeated by modern colonial powers. That this political Islam was now again available to Muslims and again vibrant and very full of resources. After the 30s of 19th century, 20th century, the oil riches of Saudi Arabia and the other Arabs became another source of power for the Muslims, which were never disturbed. That's another point. Muslims have been ruling the world like medieval systems used to be, that they go to a country, take over, and then they rule it forever, and they become the inhabitants or the citizens of that area and never go back. The colonial powers came with a different worldview. They came and they always, led by their intellectuals and thinkers, they were always convinced that it's not their right to remain there. It is not their right to rule those nations forever, and that they have to go back. Muslims never left any country where they went, but they never belonged to the countries where they went. They never accepted that they belong to those nations where they have settled. And understand this point, please. They are today in that same tradition. They will go to every country with the feeling that they are going there as their born right, because they are Muslims, because they have the powers of their creator Allah. The world belongs to Allah, and they are Allah's best people. So they will go everywhere with the right to be there,